Welcome to the world's biggest online homeopathy summit. I am Dr. Suman Halder, your host today. Dr. Harpreet,
Hello,
are you
everyone.
ready? Are
Yes,
you
I am.
ready? Yeah. Let me introduce Dr. Harpreet. He is actually practicing classical homeopathy in Canada. Uh, that is a very good thing for us because we have a lot of things to know from her. How homeopathy is going on Canada. If anybody wants to go there and popularize homeopathy and practice homeopathy, what are the steps he or she should take? So these are the things we will be learning from her. So Dr. Harpreet, please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Though it must be, it is evening for you. It is quite chilly, early morning here. And before even I begin with, I would apologize for my hoarse voice today. I woke up with a very bad throat. I will try my best to be clear, but if you guys can't hear me, please let me know, and I'll promptly repeat myself. And I would like to share my screen, Suman.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
But I guess, all right. All right. Though my dear friend Suman has already introduced me, I would still introduce myself. My name is Everett Sahni, and I did my BHMS from prestigious National Institute of Homeopathy. I have a bachelor's in psychology as well as a diploma in nutrition and health education. I moved to Canada almost 13 years back, and since then I have been practicing here, homeopathy, of course, and I'm located in central Canada. I'm a licensed physician here and I have a clinic of my own. I was lucky enough to establish my practice as soon as I came here. Thanks to the training I got in NIH, I didn't hesitate a bit to tackle so called difficult diseases. I'm successfully treating a varied range of patients here, acute as well as chronic. Yeah. Today, I am invited to speak about scope of homeopathy in Canada on this online forum. So to begin with, I would talk about regulation of homeopathic medicines as well as the regulation of homeopathy in Canada. So to begin with, Canada does recognize homeopathy as a natural healing therapy, and it categorizes it under a broad umbrella of naturopathy. So if we are categorized under naturopaths. So just to make some things more clear, in Canada, every occupation is given a code under a classification system called NOC, National Occupation Classification. And NOC is designed to classify occupational information from statistical surveys. So under NOC, homeopaths have been, everybody gets a code, and that's why we know that, okay, fine, this occupation has this code, and so on. So under the NOC code 3232, which is practitioners of natural healing, is is assigned to homeopathy. And under this code, we are categorized among, there are tons of examples I've just listed. As you can see in your screens, I've listed some of the examples. So alongside with acupuncturists, Ayurvedic practitioners, herbalists, reflexologists, and many more, the homeopaths are categorized under this classification. Um, I'm trying to give you a little bit glimpse because many of my seniors as well as juniors and few of my teachers in recent past have approached me because either they are looking for some immigration purpose or they want to resettle here. So I thought that because these denominations, these NOCs, numbers, and everywhere, these are the requirements that would be required by everybody, whoever is wanting to come here and practice here. All right. So it is important to note that Health Canada regulates healthcare products here, but not the practice of healthcare practitioners. It's a bit funny, but as all different countries, here there are federal and provincial regulations. So basically, the practice of medicine by healthcare practitioners, these responsibilities fall under the jurisdiction of Canada's provincial and territorial governments, whereas the homeopathic medicines are regulated in Canada by Health Canada, the federal government department responsible for ensuring the safety, efficacy, and compositional integrity of healthcare products distributed and sold all across the Canada. So Health Canada has formally recognized homeopathic medicines as pharmaceutical products since 1990. By 1998, Health Canada adopted several interpretive guidance documents to elaborate on conditions and means of compliance for homeopathic medicines with the provision of Food and Drug Regulations of the FDA, Food and Drugs Act. Under that act, and these compliance guidance were mainly, GMPs, good manufacturing practice for homeopathic medicines, and labeling standards, and indication for use, such as multi-ingredients, low dilution homeopathic preparations. And they also gave recognition. They are mainly giving recognition of US and European Union pharmacopoeias. NHP regulations, which is Natural Health Products Regulations, came into force in January 2004. And because of that, the homeopathic medicines were categorized under NHPs. The definition of NHP contained in the NHP regulations defines all NHPs, that is natural health products, as drug products, as opposed to foods, and they include homeopathic medicines. So it is very important to note that, because we all know, we all are familiar about DIN numbers, right? Drug identification numbers. However, the product licenses granted to homeopathic medicines by Health Canada have a unique product identifier prefix. It's DIN HM. So to enable consumers and healthcare practitioners to more easily identify homeopathic medicines in the Canadian market. So the Natural Health Products Directorate facilitates the appropriate regulation of thousands of homeopathic medicines currently readily available to consumers in Canada. It is really important to note that the labeling standards clearly defined how homeopathic medicines may be labeled and what indications for use are specially permitted. For example, there are very, very strict conditions of labeling of nosodes. Homeopathy takes vaccinations really, really seriously. And there, the Health Canada has requested the NHPs to make certain statements, and they have to be clearly indicated on labeling of nosodes. Like, there has to be a statement. It should say, this product is neither a vaccine nor an alternative to vaccination. This product has not been proven to prevent infection. Health Canada does not recommend its use in children and advises that your child receive all routine vaccination. So this kind of statement, when we order any kind of nosodes, they are all readily available, but the labeling matters, and they take it very, very. All the medicines, the medicines are readily available, ranging from mother tinctures, centesimal scale, decimal scale, 50 millisimal scale, biochemic medicines, and the low dilution multi-ingredient medicines are also available. Health Canada has approved more than 8,500 homeopathic products till date. There's a database in the Health Canada website that lists these approved products. Having said that, there are some limitations, or maybe I should not say limitations. These products, which you can see on your screen right here, these substances are not regulated. Although they are found in accepted pharmacopoeia, but are not regulated under regulations, and therefore do not qualify for a DIN HM, mainly because they are then narcotic ingredients and radiopharmaceuticals. So you can see on your slide here, I have mentioned all the medicines that you cannot get here and you cannot prescribe here as a homeopath. All right, so now this was all about the homeopathic medicines. Now let's talk about regulation of homeopathy. As I mentioned earlier, that the practice of medicine by healthcare practitioners fall under the jurisdiction of Canada's provincial and territorial governments. In Canada, except Ontario, homeopathy is a non-regulated occupation. So by that, what does that mean? A job in a non-regulated occupation is one for which you don't need a license, certificate, or registration to work. So at this time, Ontario is the only province that regulates homeopaths. College of Homeopaths was established to govern homeopathy in Ontario, whereas the Homeopathy Act was formed in 2007. And it was a big victory for the homeopaths all across the Canada. On April 1st, 2015, the Homeopathic Act 2007 was proclaimed. And before that, there was a transitional College of Homeopaths of Ontario. It was in the transition phase, and it was officially declared as a new College of Homeopaths of Ontario. So it became from Transition Council to College of Homeopaths of Ontario. Basically, what does regulation offer? It is an immense benefit for homeopaths like us. You know, the regulation of homeopathy is one of the major province of Canada. Ontario is supposed to be one of the major province in Canada. It really gave hope for physicians like me who are in other provinces where homeopathy is not regulated yet. But this is the first major victory for the professionally trained homeopaths across Canada. It will regulate the bylaws and the widespread quackery here in this country and give much needed confidence to homeopaths here. The college regulates homeopaths to ensure safe, ethical, and competent homeopathic care for the people of Ontario as of now. As the regulatory body for the profession, this college supports public rights to safe, competent, and ethical homeopathic care. The college does these by setting requirements to enter the profession, establishing comprehensive standards, and it is also giving weightage to the people who have, people like me who have an extensive background and were waiting for getting registered here. So, for the newcomers, they are having certain kind of standards or exams, but people with some kind of extensive background, they just have to present their cases and few guidelines and they're good to go. They can get registered. And they have what it is called as jurisprudence everywhere. They have set some comprehensive standards and administering quality assurance programs. Acting in the public interest, the college holds Ontario's regulated homeopaths accountable for the conduct and practice, and that is really, really important here. It is a statutory body mandated to regulate the homeopathic profession, and the mission was basically to protect the public interest through self-regulation of the practice of homeopathy by setting standards for competent and ethical practice. The College of Homeopaths of Ontario has created a series of professional practice standards and guidelines to define the safe and effective practice and scope of practice for homeopathy. So this was Ontario after regulations, but since Health Canada is recognizing homeopathy all over the provinces, there are various associations across Canada. I have been asked by many of my seniors as well as juniors that, what's the registration process? So basically, there are many associations across Canada besides Ontario. Ontario is having certain set guidelines now since it is a regulated profession over there, and all other provinces are looking up to Ontario so that we can also get regulated. But mainly, if there are various associations depending upon the province that you are. And then, they maintain and promote high standards of performance by all registered members. They promote and encourage professional development, growth, and renewal. And definitely, the code of professional conduct is really, really important. And it protects the public welfare as well, and it enhances the much needed visibility of the profession. So, although I'm not a big fan of talking about limitations, but sometimes knowing them makes you strive hard and turn the tables, in your favor. When I came here these many years back, I had to share, I had my share of struggles and challenges and limitations. So that is why now things are much, much easier with the set guidelines. But just to give a brief glimpse of the limitations here, first of all, I would explain what the Homeopathic Act in 2007, which was made. Under that, the scope of practice was defined as the assessment of body system disorders and treatment using homeopathic techniques to promote, maintain, or restore health. But it does not give homeopaths the right to order medical tests, investigations. We mainly rely on the patients to ask their modern medicine doctors, their physicians, their doctors to run tests and investigations, and then we can ask them to bring those medical records and then go from there. I mainly in my practice have been doing that, but I find that it is a big limitations, but because certain times in some cases where a person is awaiting some kind of surgical intervention, and that's the major clientele that I am having, and I'm seeing patients on everyday basis whom some kind of they are waiting for. Just a most common example for kids, they come here with tonsillitis, adenitis, and homeopathy has an immense scope in that. So meanwhile, they are waiting for those surgeries, which really take time. At time to consult a specialist here, it can take about 1 to 2 years of wait time. So in that, and that makes homeopath catch that opportunity. People like me see immense scope in that, because I have patients come into my clinic who came with these things that we are waiting for surgeries to happen, and we thought that we'll try homeopathy for that time, and by the time the date of actual surgery came, they didn't need it anymore. So that's the biggest scope, I would say, here. So because even because it's a lengthy process, it's not a walk-in for anybody to just go and see doctor. Sometimes to see your family physician, it's a 1 month wait period, actually. So, and then if your doctor recommends that you need to go to a specialist, for my kid, I had to wait for about 2.5 years to see an allergy specialist. So homeopathy can definitely kick in those times. But having said that, we are not allowed to make any diagnosis, and we are not allowed to use any words where we are indicating that we are making this diagnosis. We cannot make diagnosis as homeopaths. That's the biggest limitations here. But again, as a classical homeopath, I know some people will disagree on me on this forum. We should definitely diagnose and whatnot. But if we take totality of symptoms, I think diagnosis sometimes fall behind, and I'm in a place where I don't have to make any diagnosis, although I do at my end, but I can't record it anywhere. It should not be in my records that I diagnose this case. I diagnose this case. So that's a big one more limitation of homeopaths here. I really hope that someday they recognize homeopathy as much more advanced in their system and give us a chance. anyhow. And the other thing that we homeopaths can't do is that we have to avoid conducting a physical examination of the patient. We can't palpate, we can't auscultate, apparently, but you have to, on this forum, you have to exercise your own discretion in most of the matters. But as the guideline says, that we cannot conduct a physical examination of the patient. And then regarding the use of a title doctor, I was a little bit hesitant by saying, now in these many years, I have lost that thing to say I'm Dr. Everett Sahni, because we should refrain ourselves from saying that here. We can say that we are Doctor of Homeopathy, we can say homeopathic physicians, but we cannot use a prefix doctor in front of my name as a registered practitioner here in homeopathic world. So my friends, despite few limitations, there is immense scope for people who are passionate about homeopathy here. So I have been practicing homeopathy very, very successfully here. And as I gave you just one example, that when patients here are waiting for their surgeries and to see the allergy specialist, we pitch in and give them much needed cure or much needed relief from, I must say. So before I wrap up my brief sessions, I would like to address a very important issue on this platform, and that is COVID-19. Today, the world is undergoing a crisis never seen before. The need of the hour is to come together as we have come today on this online forum. I really urge all the homeopaths across the globe to come together in this dire situation. As Hippocrates said, wherever the art of medicine is loved, there is also a love of humanity. This is the time we can actually serve the suffering humanity. When I was in NIH and I had some experiences where we used to sit in the OPD, and one lady came to me and she said that, because we were in the routine practice of asking, we used to say, ask so many questions that milk and milk product, does it bother you and whatnot. I vividly have her image in my mind. I can't forget that. And she asked, "Kono din khai nahi," that I have not tasted milk. And I was like, we take these many things for granted. I thought that was the epitome of suffering. But now when I am seeing this, I thought that I'm in Canada, the North America, the standards are so high, everything. But I am seeing people suffering, and my colleagues, some of my very nice friends, which I made in allopathic world now, they are working as doctors, as nurses. They're really crying out in misery. They're saying that, this is the time. So this is the time when we can actually serve the suffering humanity. This is the time for the world to know that when the whole world was suffering from Spanish flu way back in 1918, homeopathy was bringing about much needed respite with subtle medicines. What a day to celebrate homeopathy. This is kind of a resurrection right now. All the homeopaths, this is the time to act. And we keep on thinking that, maybe our associations are not helping, and we can do a tad bit everywhere. Wherever you are, you urge your associations to step up. If not now, then when? Step up for helping the ones in need. Maybe ask them to give access to patients who are in quarantine or maybe in self-isolation. Put the word out that this is the time when homeopathic medicines should be given in initial phases to nip the evil in the bud. We are waiting, we are saying, take arsenic album, take this, take that, and then we fight on the classical forums and that this should be done. Just do it. Take the patient, ask them, maybe educate them at your end, make some YouTube videos, tell them that, these are the symptoms that you can take homeopathic medicines. If you can take homeopathic medicines on your own, any homeopath for that matter, if you are suffering, if you at the slight inclination of cough, of fever, of sneezing, because we are dealing with a thing where we don't even know the exact symptoms. And what I would also like to mention here, in today's world we are dealing with, as mentioned in our books, hideous monsters of complicated diseases. People who come to us are taking modern medicines, are leading a very fast and stressful life. Many are addicted to coffee, alcohol, tobacco, sometimes narcotics. I'm seeing in my clinic people are taking weed and meth and whatnot. So we have to take a holistic approach. Here I'm sure that all the homeopaths will say we are holistic, and but the need of the hour is, I'm talking about the approach which really goes beyond holistic medicine as well. That's why I like to call it deeply holistic. In Western medicine, Western world, people are readily recognizing this fact and finding solace with self-healing methods. I'm fortunate enough to have gained experience in those fields, and I urge all my fellow homeopaths to explore those less traversed methods as well, about which Henneman have also talked about, or rather I should say gave hints about in the later aphorisms of Organon. We have to strive, and we should, to become experts in homeopathic medicines and holistic approach, no doubt in that. But we also have to brace ourselves with the latest techniques and procedures and knowledge, which can actually make us healers, by restoring mind, body, and spirit balance, and thus leading to permanent restoration of the health. You know, though maybe it's knowing of some techniques, some massage, some exercises, whatnot, supplements. We need to know so many things. We have to start looking beyond homeopathic medicines. It has to go definitely in the holistic sense. So that is why deeply holistic. On that note, I would conclude my talk. Hope I was able to give you a glimpse of homeopathy in Canada. I thank everyone for being a patient audience, and stay safe, everyone.